But here's the issue with the statistics that we've talked about too, is that men use them to perpetuate their own narrative a lot of the time.
Right. Men think that women think like men, and women think that men think like women.
Right.
And that's the biggest problem.
Men ran to the comments.
Right. Oh, yeah, yeah.
And chose to talk about women who cheat and things like that, or like any type of woman, rather than talking specifically about the type of woman that I was talking about. And that is exactly what they do with the statistics. It like goes to show they will do that with any sort of information to push their narrative.
Right.
And it's almost like, I don't want to say like manipulating, but it is. It's manipulating information in order to push their opinion or their idea, which like as humans, that's a natural thing.
But women got upset. Obviously, they get upset about things that we say as well. Some women do. And, you know, and I said it's childish behavior to be upset about that. And there you go. And so, you know, my point is that we're an equal opportunity pisser off. But you don't want to be the test dummy.
No. Well, and especially not with men. Women, I feel like, are a little bit more intuitive, where like as a man, if you've been in relationships and you meet a woman who's never had like a relationship, which is not usually even the case, but let's say that you did, it's more instinctual in them.
Well, they've been doing it their whole lives. That's whether it's been a romantic relationship or not, women have been navigating interpersonal relationships.
Right.
Men have not to the degree that
and they care more about those sort of things.
Yes.
Pay more attention to those, but
so all right. So anyway, that's the thing. Everyone gets all upset about that, and it's like, I get it. I get why a lot of guys are upset about that. They're like, oh, the statistics say that. And I get that. I know this is like, that's the thing I think a lot of people understand is we understand the statistics. Like literally a lot of my content before we started making content together, it wasn't like to that extreme, but it definitely highlighted the danger, like the things that men need to know. And so, yeah, women do initiate most divorces. Women do break, which is kind of what we're going to get into the topic today, is why are men afraid of women?
But here's the issue with the statistics that we've talked about too, is that men use them to perpetuate their own narrative a lot of the time.
Right.
And I do want to say men, because I've yet to see a man use a statistic and in the same breath or same video or whatever, try to find out why that statistic is the way that it is. They're normally like, women leave men more. Here's the statistic.
Right.
And yeah, the statistic says that. But you can put whatever you want on it, or you can just say women leave majority of the time to scare men to never get into relationships. When if you look into what the statistic is actually measuring or try to find out why is this the case, then you're more prepared to not be part of the statistic.
Exactly.
And there's also statistics out there of like how likely you are to be in a car accident, which is extremely high. Do we not drive cars?
Right.
Like, I understand that, yes, you should have factual, statistical information when you make decisions. However, a lot of what men who use statistics as their justification are doing is fear-mongering.
Oh, yeah.
Rather than actually offering the statistic, diving deeper, okay, like, what does this actually entail?
Right.
Why is this happening?
Right.
And because the reason that women divorce men, and we'll get more into it, like you said, in this episode, it is for reasons that men act oblivious to.
Yeah.
In the instances, right? And some of it is they just genuinely don't think the same way as women, and they don't recognize, which in a woman's mind, you're like, how the heck can you not recognize that you're like ignoring me or not showing me love?
Right.
Which then hurts them even more, you know what I mean? But they don't even think to understand the situation fully, because they don't even understand it when it's happening.
Right. Because they don't see it. Just like women have blinders for different things that they don't see that they're doing. Men have those blinders because you're viewing it from, like I was saying at one, I think whatever episode, the biggest problem, that causes problems in relationships is that men think that women think like men, and women think that men think like women.
Right.
And that's the biggest problem. is because that's false.
Right.
Right. But yeah, you're right about the statistics, because the thing is, and that's what hopefully we can do in this episode, is unpack it and show what's actually happening. Because when you say that 90% of divorces are initiated by women, that can be a true fact. That's fine. That in itself may be a fact. But the interpretation, a lot of men in the comments are taking that as a fact, their interpretation of it. Just because that happens doesn't mean that, if I said that 99% of people that jump out of planes die. Well, the 1% that wears a parachute don't die. And 100% of, or 99% of those people that jump out of planes survive because they have a parachute. Right. So the question is, you have to say, if 90% of divorces are initiated by women, why is that the case? And it could be that because women are horrible and they get bored with men and they just are going to leave a good guy for no reason because they're just bored. That could be an answer, but that doesn't mean that's the answer. The answer could also be that men are afraid to leave bad relationships, or a combination of that, and they don't understand that their relationship is bad for the woman.
Right. I want to add one more thing before we go into it, though. I mean, you can see how men do this, certain men do this, by the video we started talking about in this episode, where I said women who admire the man that they're with, and men ran to the comments.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And chose to talk about women who cheat and things like that, or like any type of woman, rather than talking specifically about the type of woman that I was talking about. And that is exactly what they do with the statistics. It like goes to show they will do that with any sort of information to push their narrative.
Right.
And it's almost like, I don't want to say like manipulating, but it is. It's manipulating information in order to push their opinion or their idea, which, like, as humans, that's a natural thing. However, you do have to own up to the fact that you have taken this thing that was about something specific and turned it into some generalization that you made up as a man that's upset about this sort of topic.
Well, and your qualifier was the parachute, right? Because you said admire. And so those are the women with the parachutes. You understand what I'm saying? Is that
those are the women that are
because
being happy in marriage and doing the things that they like, that they want in a woman.
That's why, just like you'd be shocked if someone who jumped out of a plane with a parachute died, you would be shocked if a woman that admired the man that she was with cheated on. It would be shocking. Right? That's why it's important, what you said.
Right.
Because it does matter. And so I can accept an argument from some men saying it's hard to have a woman admire you. That I can accept.
Or find a woman that admires you.
That I can accept. Okay. And if you say, okay, well, most women don't admire the men they're with, and that's why I can accept all of that.
Right.
But
none of the comments were like that, though.
Right. But the thing is, and that's why we've made this show, is to help both men and women. Right? It's a show. That's right.
Is my phone going in the ocean? Because I'm afraid.
It's to help both men and women to actually be able to understand these things, so that a man can actually understand how to get a woman to admire him.
Right.
How to vet women that don't and get rid of them early on, if that's going to be the case. Right? And the same equivalent for a woman, to vet a man, to find a man that will actually take care of her, that will actually step up and be a man and be a good man. So that's why we're not trying to create animosity. We're not trying to create this to shit on men.
No. And we're not trying to create content to cause drama.
No, that's not.
Or stir up controversy. Like, we pride ourselves in being very real about all of the things. So, anybody is going to say things that upset people sometimes. But we're not just trying to get views. We don't make money off of this. Like,
I love men. Okay, great. That's going to be clipped out. But no, I love to help men. They're my brothers, right?
And you love being a man.
Right, and I want to help them. That's my whole life is dedicated literally to helping men.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I'm not the enemy. But the way that I'm helping them is to help them not realize that a lot of the stuff, unfortunately, that they've been taught in the last few years on the internet is not entirely accurate. There's some truths that are baked in there, just like any good cult, any good, deception charlatan will give some truths in order to hook you in.
Right.
And that's what's happened to a lot of these guys. And so they believe these things hook, line, and sinker. And I'm saying, look, I understand all of that information. I'm an expert in that information. Believe me, I know the guys who originated the information. I used to hang out with those guys. I know them well. I've talked to all of them. I've interviewed them. I've hung out with all of those guys. So I know exactly all that content. And I'm telling you, it's not correct. And it's deceptive. And this is why, and the same thing I would say too, before we get into the real meat of the episode, is that we had another clip where women were super upset. So it's not just men,
right.
Because we said in that clip about that a woman should submit to her husband, that she should, in the surrendered wife episode, where we did a whole episode on that, and women got upset. And they're
mostly upset about the word. And you said that even the author of that book wrote a different book with a different word, which in my opinion, I understand because they're trying to take the literal sense of the word, but that's not necessarily, as a whole, that's not what the clip was about.
Right.
It's not about a word. It's not about, doing the definition textbook style of submitting.
Right. And it's called surrendered wife, not even submit,
That's true.
The submission is a part of the idea, but women got upset. Obviously, they get upset about things that we say as well. Some women do. And, I said it's childish behavior to be upset about that. And there you go. And so, my point is that we're an equal opportunity pisser offer. So we piss because, and that's how we're not biased, at least, as much as we cannot be biased, because we're pissing off women, we're pissing off men. We're not trying to piss off anybody.
Right.
But we don't care in the sense that we're going to speak the truth, and we're not going to be beholden to one party and say, okay, well, we're just going to shit on men so women like us. We're going to pander to women. That's what a lot of guys think when they watch clips. We're not going to do that. But we're also not going to pander to men either. We're going to say the truth on either side. And I think that's what makes us unique.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And I feel like men probably feel like we pick on them more.
Yeah.
But it's not like we're targeting them. It's because we feel like, based on the dynamic that we're promoting and that we believe in, that the man is the leader and he is the authority and he is responsible for the relationship.
Right.
So, of course, we're going to talk more to the person that is responsible. Well, but it's not all about just picking on him.
And look, think about it this way. If a woman comes to a guy that she's in a relationship with, she's watched our podcast and she's like, well, Jack, we need to fix our relationship and I know how to do it. And I'm going to help us do it. It's not going to go well. It's not going to, you know what I mean?
Well, he's going to be offended.
If a man comes into a woman that he's in a relationship with and he's like, you know what? I really want to fix our relationship and make it better. I've been watching this podcast and I have a lot of ideas and things that she's going to be thrilled.
Yeah, I think a woman would shit her pants with excitement.
Right. So that's why, that's why the message is directed more so towards men.
Well, and some people are getting it. We got a comment actually recently of a man that said every man should watch this podcast that's married. Every married man.
Yeah. Because it's like, if we could just speak to women and have, but that's not the thing. And men do want to be men and they want to lead and they want to have authority and they want to have the responsibility that goes with that authority. And that's what we're trying to do. So we're not babying them. You know what I mean?